is coming up 9:15. The National Crime Agency has issued a strongly worded warning to organised gangs, which it says are behind a recent spike in illegal attempts to cross the English Channel.
So far this month, around 100 would-be migrants have been stopped whilst trying to enter the UK along the south coast, according to the Home Office.
Yesterday, 8 Iranian nationals were brought ashore in Kent. Tony Smith, former head of UK Border Force, joins us now from our London newsroom. Good morning, Tony. What's behind this sudden spike in crossings?
Well, I think what we're seeing is displacement, actually, Tina. We've done quite a lot of good work in Calais in the last couple of years in stopping penetration through there via lorries. There was a report by the Independent Chief Inspector of Immigration just out which shows more work's been done on the French feeder ports to offload people there. But the human smugglers aren't going to give up. They're going to continue to try to find a way in. And what we haven't seen before is this unprecedented number of small boats carrying vulnerable people across the English Channel. So very worrying.
And what's being done about it at the moment? What's being done to stop it?
So the Border Force will be deploying the coastal patrol vessels and the cutters alongside of other agencies working hopefully with the French, certainly with the National Crime Agency, to stop the smuggling gang at source. What we need to do is stop the boats at source because this is highly dangerous. These waters are busy shipping lanes. This is not a good time of year. People will die of hypothermia or drowning. That's the real worry. So there will be deployment underway to try and make sure that we stop the flows, but more importantly, I think, to disrupt this gang. It's clearly an organised criminal gang at work, as the National Crime Agency have said, and it's really important that we try and stop these flows now.
And can you give us a sense of the numbers and how they compare to 2017, for example, because it's November, it's bitterly cold and obviously dangerous to be making those crossings at this time of year?
This is unprecedented, Tina, in terms of numbers. 100 or so people in 12 different instances over 3 weeks is unprecedented. We don't see that kind of thing on Maritime. When you compare that, there was a report by the Policy Exchange earlier in the year reckoning 15,000 or so illegal stock entering the UK. 100 is not a huge number, but it is a growing number, and it's a growing worry because we're not really geared up to defend our coastline against this type of illegal migration. Our tactics have been to deploy to the French feeder ports and to stop there. And of course, the Border Force are responsible for the ports of entry as well as for the areas in between the border. And my concern is that we don't have the bandwidth to be able to patrol those if this continues.
And we don't also have the capability of dealing with these organised gangs.
Well, no, because that requires an international effort, and it will require work on the French side to disrupt those gangs. So there are joint activities going on between the UK Border Force, the National Crime Agency and the French police, but we are very much reliant upon them. There have been reports of more and more thefts and acquisitions of small dinghies and boats over on the French side. There's clearly a network working in this way, and once they've got people out onto the high seas, then we are in a very dangerous position. So it does require an international effort, not just a UK effort, to disrupt the gang.
And Tony, just very quickly, is it true, some people are reporting that traffickers are telling migrants that crossing the border will become harder after Brexit?
Well, I don't think that's the case. I think what we're seeing is disruption, and what we're seeing is smugglers looking for people with money. These are predominantly Iranian migrants. They need to get the money from those who want to make it across, and they're just using different routes. There are some concerns about Brexit, obviously, but I don't think that's what the primary cause is. I think we're simply seeing a diversion, if you like, of tactics by the smugglers to use increasingly dangerous routes to smuggle people into the UK.
Tony Smith, thank you very much there. Tony, former head of the UK Border Force.
Let's take